They tried to bury me, but they didn't know I was a seed. These words echo the spirit of a woman who turned tragedy into triumph, pain into power, and silence into a voice that now inspires millions. Muniba Mazari. Today, I want to talk about a kind of confidence that doesn't come from how you look, what you wear, or what others think of you. This is the kind of confidence that is unshakable. A confidence that comes from within. A confidence beyond comparison. We live in a world that constantly tells us who we should be. But Muniba Mazari teaches us something profoundly different. You don't need to fit in to stand out. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to embrace who you are with all your scars, your struggles, and your story. So let's begin this journey of self-belief where confidence is not about being better than others, but about being the best version of you. We live in a world that constantly tells us how we should look, how we should behave, and what we should achieve in order to be considered enough. From the glossy covers of magazines to the curated perfection of social media, we are surrounded by images of flawlessness. Skin without blemish, bodies without scars, lives without mistakes. And in this pursuit of perfection, we begin to lose touch with the very thing that makes us beautiful. Our imperfections. Muniba Mazari, a woman who redefined strength and beauty from a wheelchair, once said, "Our imperfections make us who we are." She reminds us that our scars, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, are not signs of weakness, but stories of survival. They are the chapters of our lives that prove we have lived, endured, and grown. Yet society often conditions us to hide these imperfections, to cover them up, to be ashamed of them. But in truth, it is only when we embrace them that we unlock the door to real confidence. Confidence is not born from flawlessness. It is born from authenticity. From the courage to show up, to be seen, and to be unapologetically ourselves. Think about a cracked pot that still carries water. The world may focus on the cracks, but the water gets delivered nonetheless. Similarly, we might have cracks, imperfections, failures, doubts, but they don't make us less valuable. They make us real. They make us relatable. They make us human. Imagine how freeing it would be to stop apologizing for not meeting someone else's idea of perfect. To wear your uniqueness proudly instead of trying to conform. When Muniba Mazari was confined to a wheelchair after a devastating accident, she lost the ability to walk, but she found her voice. A voice that inspires people across the world to accept themselves, to rise beyond their pain, and to embrace every inch of their journey. She did not let her limitations define her. Instead, she redefined what it means to be confident, what it means to be beautiful, and what it means to be strong. When we embrace our imperfections, we stop chasing a moving target. Perfection is a myth. It shifts and changes with every new trend, every new standard. But authenticity, that never goes out of style. There is something deeply magnetic about someone who is comfortable in their own skin, someone who is not afraid to say, "This is who I am, and I am enough." That kind of confidence is not only inspiring, it's transformative. Too often we compare ourselves to others and end up diminishing our own light. We look at someone else's highlight reel and forget that we're only seeing the best moments. We don't see the struggles behind the scenes, the failures that led to success, the tears behind the smiles. And yet, we hold ourselves to these impossible standards, thinking that if we were just a little smarter, a little prettier, a little more successful, then maybe, just maybe, we'd be worthy. But worthiness isn't earned through perfection. It's claimed through self-acceptance. Think about the people who have inspired you the most. Are they perfect? Or are they real? Are they polished and untouchable? Or are they brave enough to show their flaws and still keep going? Confidence is not about pretending to have it all together. It's about owning your story, standing tall in your truth, and showing the world that you are not defined by your imperfections. You are empowered by them. Muniba's journey teaches us that when we stop hiding, we start healing. When we stop masking our flaws, we begin to understand their purpose. Each imperfection carries a lesson. Each scar is a reminder of what we've overcome. And when we learn to love those parts of ourselves, we begin to build a confidence that doesn't depend on outside validation. It comes from within. It comes from resilience. It comes from resilience. It comes from knowing that you've walked through the fire and still came out shining. We need to shift the narrative around what it means to be confident. It's not about having the perfect body, the perfect smile, the perfect resume. It's about embracing your quirks, your past, your struggles, and still choosing to show up with your head held high. It's about knowing that your value doesn't diminish because of your flaws. It deepens because of your truth. Muniba could have chosen to disappear after her accident. She could have hidden from the world, ashamed of her new reality. But instead, she chose to rise. She chose to speak. She chose to paint her pain into powerful art. Then doing so, she taught countless others that their imperfections don't disqualify them from greatness. In fact, they prepare them for it. Each time you embrace a part of yourself you once tried to hide, you reclaim a piece of your power. You begin to see yourself not through the distorted lens of society, but through the clear, compassionate lens of truth. You start to recognize that being different isn't a weakness, it's your greatest strength. Your voice, your perspective, your journey, they all matter. They all deserve to be seen and heard. When we stop seeking approval and start embracing authenticity, we step into a confidence that can't be shaken by comparison. We stop trying to be someone else and start honoring who we are. And in that space, where self-acceptance lives, confidence blooms. Not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet, steady kind that says, I am enough just as I am. From the time we are young, we are taught to measure ourselves against others. We are graded in school, compared at home, judged by appearance, and ranked in every possible way. This constant need to compare has become so deeply rooted in our lives that we often don't even realize we're doing it. We scroll through social media and compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. We see a friend succeed and immediately question our own worth. We look at someone's smile, lifestyle, or accomplishments and silently ask ourselves, why not me? This habit of comparison, though common, is one of the biggest barriers to genuine confidence. Confidence that relies on comparison is fragile. It only lasts as long as you're ahead of someone else. The moment someone surpasses you, earns more, looks better, achieves faster, that confidence begins to crumble. But Muniba Mazari teaches us a different way. She reminds us that we don't need to compete to feel complete. And we don't need to compare to feel confident, because your journey is yours alone. It's not meant to look like anyone else's. No two lives are the same. No two battles are the same. And yet, we try to apply the same measuring stick to everyone. We ignore the context behind someone's success. We don't see the sleepless nights, the failures, the self-doubt. We just see the end result and assume that we're falling behind. But falling behind in whose race? Whose timeline are we following? There is no universal clock ticking that says you must accomplish certain things by a certain age. There is no rule book that says your path must mirror someone else's. The pressure we feel comes not from truth, but from comparison. Muniba's story is a powerful reminder that the path to purpose is not a straight line. Her life changed overnight in a devastating accident that could have broken her spirit. But instead of comparing her life before and after, instead of mourning what others had that she had lost, she chose to focus on what she still had: her voice, her vision, her will to live. She turned inward and discovered a strength that didn't depend on being like anyone else. She didn't compare her pain to someone else's comfort. She honored her journey for what it was: unique, painful, but also purposeful. When you stop comparing, you start connecting with yourself. You start listening to your own voice instead of the noise around you. You begin to notice what you value, what brings you joy, what gives you peace. Comparison drowns that voice. It distracts you from your purpose. It turns your focus outward, when real growth and real confidence begin from within. The more you compare, the more you lose sight of your own potential. Everyone has their own timeline, their own season. Just because someone else is blooming doesn't mean your time won't come. The tree that flowers in spring does not envy the one that blooms in autumn. It simply waits, nurtures itself, and trusts the process. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are simply on a different path, and that is more than okay. The problem with comparison is that it reduces people to one-dimensional versions of themselves. You see someone's success and think they have it all. You see their smile and assume they have no pain. But every person carries struggles you may never see. Every person fights battles you may never hear about. Confidence rooted in comparison often ignores this truth. It paints an incomplete picture and it keeps you chasing an illusion. The freedom that comes with letting go of comparison is unmatched. When you stop looking sideways and start looking inward, you find clarity. You start measuring progress based on who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. That shift in perspective changes everything. It brings a sense of peace that no external achievement can provide. It helps you understand that someone else's success is not your failure. Muniba did not try to compete with anyone. She simply focused on becoming the best version of herself. She didn't chase validation, she created value. Her confidence didn't come from being better than others, but from being true to herself. That is the kind of confidence that lasts. That is the kind of confidence that inspires. And that is the kind of confidence we all deserve to feel. Feel. You don't need to walk someone else's path to reach your destination. You don't need to dim your light because someone else is shining. In fact, the world needs your light just as much. It needs your voice, your story, your presence. And the moment you stop comparing is the moment you start embracing your own worth. Comparison steals joy, but presence brings power. When you are fully present in your own life, when you honor your own progress, you begin to notice how far you've come. You begin to appreciate the small victories. Start valuing effort over outcome. That is where confidence grows, not in beating others, but in beating the doubts within yourself. Life is not a race, it's a journey. And every step, every stumble, every triumph matters. Your pace is perfect for you. Your journey is designed for you. Your journey is designed for you. You are never meant to be a copy of someone else. You are meant to be an original, a masterpiece in progress. The moment you realize that is the moment you step into confidence that comparison can never shake. In Muniba's words, you are the hero of your own story. And heroes don't compare, they conquer, they evolve, they rise. When you stop comparing, you give yourself permission to become who you were always meant to be. In a world that constantly demands validation, it becomes easy to forget that the truest and most lasting form of confidence does not come from applause, compliments, or approval. It comes from within, from a deep and honest place of self-acceptance. This kind of confidence is not loud or boastful. It doesn't need to prove itself or seek attention. It is quiet, steady, and rooted in a person's ability to embrace who they are, just as they are. Muniba Mazari stands as a powerful example of this kind of confidence. After surviving a life-altering accident that left her paraplegic, she found herself at a crossroads. The world told her she was broken, that her dreams were no longer valid, that her beauty and potential had been lost. But instead of internalizing those voices, she chose to rewrite the narrative. She chose to accept her reality, not with bitterness, but with grace. And from that acceptance bloomed a strength and confidence that could not be shaken by anyone's opinion. When you accept yourself, you stop asking others for permission to exist. You stop molding yourself into something you're not just to be liked or loved. You start showing up as your true self without filters or masks. That's not always easy in a world that thrives on comparison and competition, but it's necessary if you want to live a life that is meaningful and free. Confidence built on external approval is unstable. It rises and falls with every comment, every like, every compliment or criticism. You feel good when people notice you and broken when they don't. You begin to hand over your self-worth to others, allowing them to decide how valuable you are. That's a dangerous place to live, always needing someone else to tell you that you matter. True confidence doesn't play that game. It doesn't rely on validation. It comes from knowing deep within that your worth is not up for negotiation. Self-acceptance is the foundation of that kind of confidence. For Uptonenton, it means embracing not only your strengths, but also your flaws. It means being honest about your fears, your failures, and your insecurities without letting them define you. Muniba Mazari didn't ignore her pain. She didn't pretend to be strong all the time. But she chose to see her struggles as part of her story, not the end of it. That's what self-acceptance looks like. Not perfection, but wholeness. So many people spend their lives running from themselves. They hide parts of who they are because they're afraid those parts won't be loved. But they wear masks, play roles, and live lives that don't belong to them, just to be accepted by others. But what's the use of being accepted by the world if you can't accept yourself? What good is external approval if internally you're at war with your reflection? When you begin to accept yourself, you also begin to trust yourself. You trust your voice, your instincts, your decisions. You no longer need everyone to agree with you in order to feel confident. You understand that disagreement does not equal rejection. You realize that not everyone has to love you for you to love yourself. That's a powerful shift. It gives you the freedom to live authentically, to speak your truth, and to pursue what matters to you, not what impresses others. Muniba's journey is a reminder that self-acceptance is not a destination. It's a daily choice. Some days you'll feel strong, other days you'll feel unsure. But confidence is not the absence of doubt, it's the decision to keep going despite it. And when that decision is fueled by self-acceptance, it becomes unbreakable. Because you are no longer fighting to become someone else. You are choosing to be yourself fully and fearlessly. We often wait to accept ourselves until we've achieved something, changed something, or improved something. We think, I'll love myself when I lose weight, or I'll be confident when I get that job, or I'll finally feel good enough when someone chooses me. But that kind of confidence is conditional. It's always just out of reach. Real confidence doesn't wait for a perfect moment. It grows in the middle of imperfection. It says, I am enough, even now. When you live from a place of self-acceptance, you also become more accepting of others. You stop judging so quickly because you understand what it means to wrestle with your own humanity. You develop compassion, empathy, and kindness, not just for others but for yourself. And that kindness becomes a bridge to a more confident and courageous life. There will always be people who doubt you, who criticize you, who don't understand your journey. But when you accept yourself, their opinions lose power over you. You stop needing to explain yourself. You stop chasing validation. You start standing tall in your own truth, knowing that who you are is more than enough. Self-acceptance also brings clarity. You begin to see what aligns with your values, your vision, your purpose. You stop settling for relationships, careers, or situations that require you to shrink. You recognize that you are not here to fit into someone else's mold. You are here to shape your own life. That kind of clarity leads to decisions made from confidence, not fear. Muniba Mazari's confidence doesn't come from physical ability or conventional beauty. It comes from her unwavering commitment to accept herself. Her power is not in pretending to be someone she's not, but in embracing exactly who she is. And that is where her radiance lies. In her truth, in her vulnerability, in her courage to say, I may be broken, but I am still complete. Confidence rooted in self-acceptance doesn't shout to be noticed. It simply is. It shows up in how you walk, how you speak, how you treat others, and how you treat yourself. It allows you to live without needing to prove anything. It allows you to rest in your own skin. And that, more than anything, is the kind of confidence that lasts.